Blocked my religious aunt and cousin after they wouldn't stop harassing me to give up my baby for adoption. My partner and I made our choice. They didn't agree and kept pushing their beliefs on us. So I shut the door. Permanently. I'm a 24-year-old woman, currently 8 months along with a baby girl, and my aunt and cousin have been quite challenging since I shared the news. My partner and I already adore our daughter and have no intention of giving her up. However, my aunt insists I hand over my child to my cousin, who has struggled with infertility for the past 5 years. For a bit more background, my aunt essentially raised my sister and me after our mother passed away when we were very young. We've been quite close with both my aunt and cousin throughout our lives and have tried to support my cousin through her infertility journey. My aunt is also very religious, a devout Mormon who regularly attends church and holds very strict, narrow-minded views on morality, values, and how to live a good life. She believes a child deserves a strong, religiously grounded upbringing with a stable, providing father and a loving, attentive mother. Since my partner is not Christian, and because we both have full-time careers, she thinks our child will grow up confused and lost in our household due to our differing beliefs, lacking a proper sense of identity and adequate care. She claims she fears our child's well-being won't be prioritized in such an environment, and that our kid could easily stray onto a dark, immoral path. According to her, my cousin, who works part-time from home, and her husband are far better equipped to provide my child with a loving home, good values, and religion. I've blocked both my aunt and cousin on most communication platforms and have moved to a new home whose address they don't know. My partner and I also had a private wedding ceremony, so they won't have influence over my medical decisions. Of the two, my aunt has been more aggressive. She even showed up at my old apartment one day to scream and argue with me about the situation. She tried, with a fake pleasant tone, to persuade me to come to a cafe near her church to discuss the baby. Even when I stated there was nothing to discuss and that I was keeping the baby, she persisted. I spoke with the apartment manager and had to hide until she left after half an hour. My aunt also has her church friends contacting me. They sometimes send hostile text messages and voicemails. My cousin has been quieter, struggling with depression and trauma since her last pregnancy ended in a stillbirth at 30 weeks after preterm labor last year. She has been regularly posting on social media and has joined motherhood-related groups. I've heard through rumors that she's trying to acquire a baby through these groups and has been banned from a considerable number of them, much to her dismay. She has been harassing young mothers and widows for their infants. My cousin is desperate for a baby to mend her family and is apparently waiting for me to give birth to my baby girl, whom she apparently sees as her own late child. My aunt and she are apparently convinced that I will be overwhelmed by motherhood and its responsibilities, leading me to give up, or, rather, give more to my baby by letting my cousin and her husband adopt her. My aunt claims that giving my baby to my cousin shouldn't be too difficult because we're family, and that I could have another baby later on since I'm still young and plan to attend grad school after working for a while. My cousin also apparently wants to reconnect, as we had before my pregnancy. I will not be speaking to her again until after I give birth, to see where she stands then and to prevent further stress during my pregnancy. I've been very supportive of her through her infertility journey and generally preferred her over my aunt growing up, but her behavior and mindset have shocked me and are making me fear for my safety. I am planning a wedding celebration next year since my partner and I privately married this year, and I'm unsure if my cousin or aunt would be invited or able to attend. I have a lot of family support from both sides right now, apart from those close to my aunt and cousin who are on their side. But I'm not sure if that support will be as strong in a year or what my relationship with my aunt and cousin will be then. I've skipped some family events I know they'll be at, but I don't want to miss out on those gatherings and fun forever. I'm uncertain how the future will look with my aunt and cousin after my baby arrives and the issues that might arise. Any support would be appreciated. Oh, and I grew up with this happening. Children and having a family were, and still are, seen as prizes for living a godly, devout life. You would often be severely judged for any shortcomings and not given adequate, judgment-free help, even if you were genuinely struggling. My church facilitated adoptions and, I believe, is still involved in them. The birth mothers would often be a combination of young, single, unwed, and in some sense, ungodly, and the church would pressure them and instill fear about their and their children's fate if they raised their babies. The babies were adopted out to infertile Mormon couples or couples who wished to be charitable by saving an innocent baby and giving its biological mother a chance to fix her life and live well. It frightens me, and now I'm very wary about adoption. Update 1: We contacted the local church leader and discussed the situation with my aunt and cousin, both of whom are active members. We spoke with him for a while. He initially dismissed my concerns as personal family conflict and attempted to refer us to counseling services. We explained to him that my cousin is dealing with trauma from her baby's death and that she is harboring false hopes about adopting my baby, who she believes would be raised in a good home. We also told him that my aunt is fueling those hopes and has been harassing me on her behalf, causing disturbance and a lot of stress. He told me he understood my perspective and that he knew what my cousin has been experiencing with her inability to have children. He said he would reach out to my aunt and cousin to hear their side of the situation. I spoke with him again today. He said that my aunt and cousin would like to speak with me and that they were concerned that I had stopped communicating with them, especially since I moved away. I explained to him that their behavior regarding my baby influenced me to take those actions and pressed him on what they had said. He told me that my cousin had spoken with a church therapist and was exploring adoption as a way to start a family because her IVF treatments were likely not going to produce a child due to her condition. I emphasized to him that I was not giving up my baby and that my cousin had been thinking such. He stated that he understood that and began asking me for personal details on how I was doing. He was again trying to arrange a meeting between us and my aunt/cousin and referring us to services. I told him I was not comfortable with that at the moment, and he told me to at least call my cousin once. He said he will meet with my aunt on Sunday since I was too apprehensive to do so on my own. Our call ended after that. I'll comment any update on what he says in the coming days under this post. Edit. I'll also edit this post to make the update easier to find since I don't want to create a whole different post on it. Edit. I am not satisfied with his response and do not like that he is pressuring me to reconnect with my aunt and cousin. He says he understands my concerns, but I think he is being rather dismissive of them and trying to force us to resolve our issues. My partner and I thought it was worth a shot reaching out to him because he has influence and religious authority over my aunt/cousin. I'll see what he says on the next phone call and see what I can do to make him care more. Edit. To make clear, I didn't give him any personal information and have no plans for any in-person meeting with my aunt and cousin. We are in contact with legal assistance. We do not live in Utah. Update 2. I decided to unblock my cousin and send her a message. I told her that my partner and I are keeping our baby and that it is not open for discussion. I encouraged her to seek proper therapy if she hasn't already done so and told her that I am not comfortable with her husband, or my aunt being involved in my child's life. She hasn't responded yet. Regardless of what she says, our relationship will not return to what it was before, and she will not be a part of my child's life. Update 3. I've been quite busy in the last few months with the birth and projects I've been working on as I recover from childbirth and care for my new baby. I logged into Reddit a few times since then, but haven't gotten a chance to update. I am 25 now, and my baby is almost 4 months old. Time flies. She is doing well and brings us so much joy. I love going on walks with her, and she is growing up so fast. I am planning to go back to work soon, looking for a new job. Thank you all for the concern and well wishes, and I hope everyone is having a great time during the Thanksgiving holiday season. Now, the update that everyone is looking forward to, my cousin and aunt. Since my last update, my cousin and aunt went silent for a while, and my cousin didn't respond to my texts. In August, my aunt reached out to me through a new number and asked me how I was and if I had the baby yet. We talked. She was concerned about my baby's well-being since I had distanced myself from a lot of my family and had to leave my job. I asked about my cousin. She says they have been trying to adopt a baby through their church connections, but nothing has been successful so far because they probably just started on that. I asked about whether they consulted with a proper adoption agency, but my aunt said that my cousin's husband's past may become a problem. I didn't know about that. And she proceeded to rant about how the white birth rate is dropping and how people were actively denying themselves parenthood. She asked me if I still wanted the baby and got angry about 9th-month abortions. She is pro-life without exceptions. I reaffirmed to her that I did, and she talked about how my cousin was getting old, but she is in her early 30s and that her nest is still empty. She wanted me to at least share the joy and let my cousin be in my daughter's life and spend time with her. I told her it would not be possible due to their past behavior. I feared that my cousin would try to become her mother and let her delusions take hold again. My aunt said that my cousin was trying to become better and got some church counseling. I still told her no. She then asked me if I knew anyone or any resources to adopt a baby. I told her I didn't and that my cousin/her husband should be careful and patient with trying to become parents. My aunt emphasized how becoming parents was important to my cousin and her husband because they deserve children at this point and for their reputation since everyone around them is reaching the parenthood milestone. She asked about my future family plans and pushed me on when I'm going to get pregnant again / of my next child. She told me family planning was important, especially after this surprised pregnancy, and asked if they could be involved next time. As the call went on, more and more of her past/usual behavior became apparent, and I was getting tired of it. I wanted to end the call, but she ended it first because she had some activity. Thankfully, I have my sister to keep me in the loop with what's happening with my aunt/cousin and other matters regarding my family and my old church. Everything my aunt said was apparently true about my cousin, according to my sister. My cousin's overall mental health seems to have improved from her worst, but she still has her deep depressed periods. She sometimes feels very empty with her lack of children and her worsened relationships with me and my sister. My cousin and her husband are also trying to find an IVF doctor abroad in hopes of a miracle since a lot of their options are closing here. My cousin apparently still views my baby as something she lost, but she believes God will give her kids soon and has been trying to get her sins forgiven. We are skipping Thanksgiving with my side of the family in a few days for obvious reasons. I am going back to the workforce soon, likely after all the holidays. I have my childcare arrangements ready with all the necessary precautions, and the future is looking good overall. Again, thank you all for your support, and let me know if you have any questions about anything, Mormonism, my family, motherhood, etc. Oh, perhaps something else. My aunt has declared that she is ready for the grandma life and has been heavily invested in my cousin and her starting a family. When we were younger, my aunt also said that she would be a grandma to my sister's future children since we lost our mother very young. I guess she doesn't have that enthusiasm anymore. Second story, I overheard my fiancé's family mocking my curiosity, and he laughed along, leaving me questioning our future and feeling utterly humiliated. I'm a 23-year-old woman engaged to John, 24. We've been together for 5 years and plan to marry in July 2025. I always thought his family liked me because we got along well. He has 2 older brothers, 26 and 29, both married. Honestly, I was very excited to have them all as my in-laws. They were always kind to me. Some important background. About a year ago, while scrolling on Instagram, I saw a profile that was a bit cringy, but in a charming way. It was an older woman's profile who shared inspirational quotes. I remember one particular post that was something along the lines of, "Only stupid people pretend to know everything. Don't pretend, just ask." Honestly, this quote changed me in many ways. Before that, I was always worried I might embarrass myself if I didn't know something. After reading the quote, I realized that if I always pretended to know everything, I'd miss out on actually learning. So, I decided to change my habits and start admitting that sometimes I genuinely don't know something. For instance, if someone is discussing the war in Kosovo, I'll say, okay, sure, but first, let me ask some questions so I can really understand what we're talking about. And I ask a lot of questions. Sometimes, I even open the Notes app and jot down questions I want to research later. These are my latest ones. 1. How does time work in a black hole? 2. Why do some snails have shells and others don't? 3. What food is safe for ducks? 4. How do old light bulbs with gas inside them work? 5. Does everyone perceive colors the same way, and how can we know that? Sorry for the lengthy introduction, but it was somewhat necessary for understanding the kind of person I am. I know that sometimes I might come across as annoying. Now, onto the problem. His parents hosted a small barbecue last weekend, only for the family. So, it was his mom, 54, dad, 59, brothers, 26 and 29, and their wives, both 27. I was the last person to arrive because I had to work late. I entered the house, and as I was walking toward the back into the backyard, I heard John's mom talking about me. To be honest, she wasn't talking about me so much as mocking me. I heard her say in a high-pitched voice, "How does the sun work? Where should I put the fork? Why does nobody like me? How do I wipe my backside?" I just stood there. I had this sinking feeling. I couldn't move. So, I just stood there, and I heard them all laughing. One of the wives said, "I actually don't mind her always asking questions. I think it's cute." And it made me feel hopeful that they would say something like, "Yeah, sure, we're just playing, we love that." But none of them did. Instead, the mom replied, "It's not cute. She's just stupid." After that, they laughed again. I heard John laughing. My heart somewhat fractured in that moment because he didn't even say one positive thing. He didn't defend me. He just laughed. I quietly turned around and left the house. I texted John that I got sick and had to stay home. Now I'm wondering how I should approach this situation. We live together, and I'm sleeping in the guest bedroom for now, using the excuse that I don't want him to get sick from being around me. I can't ignore him forever, and I can't pretend to be sick anymore because it's been too long. I'm not sure how to proceed. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. I'm considering talking to them about this, but I'm also worried that they won't be honest with me. I can't marry him if he really thinks I'm stupid, but I also can't marry into a family who thinks so little of me. But maybe it was a joke and I shouldn't take it so seriously. I'm so torn apart, and every day I convince myself a bit more that it's okay and sometimes we should all laugh about ourselves. Now I feel like I'm just going crazy. I would really appreciate some advice. Update 1. Thank you to the people who reached out to answer my questions about black holes, snails, ducks, light bulbs, and other topics. I would love to have you as my friends. For the other people who said I should just shut up, I don't really care if you find me annoying or difficult to be around. I'm okay with that. I don't exist to please everyone. I'm just here to have a good time, pursue my own interests, and learn. I didn't expect my post to gain so much attention, but I'm so grateful for the advice. Most of you told me to break up with him, and at the very least confront him, so that's what I decided to do. You gave me a push and confidence to do it. But before I did that, I texted the wife of John's brother, the one who said she liked me asking questions. I asked if we could meet up for coffee. She said sure. We met, and I didn't see the point in pretending to her that I didn't hear their conversation, so after some small talk, I just said, I heard you all talking about me during the barbecue. She immediately got sad and said she felt embarrassed. She explained that it wasn't a joke, wasn't out of context, that it was just mean and hurtful. She said she's sorry for not defending me more, but I told her, it's okay, and I understand. I told her that I don't blame her for anything and just wanted to make sure that I understood the situation and saw it for what it really was. And it really was laughing about me behind my back, just bullying at this point. Then, I just had to confront John. In my last post, so many comments were saying that he would probably try gaslighting me, and you were right. We were having dinner together for the first time since the barbecue happened, because before, I tried my best to avoid him. Yes, I know, not very mature of me, but other than you guys, I don't really have a strong support system. My family and best friends are hundreds of kilometers away. I only have 2 good friends here. I was so stressed. I thought I was going to pass out. My legs were shaking, and I was terrified because I knew deep down that this was the moment when my 5-year relationship went down the drain. I looked him in the eyes and asked, how does the sun work? He looked confused, so I followed with, where should I put my fork? Why does nobody like me? At this point, realization hit him, and he started nervously laughing. I said I was there and I heard them. After the initial shock passed, he got mad. He said it's rude to eavesdrop. I said it's rude to bully people. He tried telling me that it was just a joke, that I shouldn't be so uptight, that it really was funny. I said that I didn't find it funny and went to the guest room to calm down. He started panicking. He was asking me to please talk to him. He was much more apologetic and said that he would be 100% honest with me. I asked if his mother made similar comments before the barbecue. He said yes. I asked him if he ever defended me. He said he tries to. I don't know if I believe him. He told me he loves me and respects me. I don't know if I believe it either. I said that I love him too, but I need a break. He's all I've ever known. He was my first and only partner. I have no outside perspective of this. I have no experience. I need a moment to think. I will be going to my friend's house for a while to think everything through. The apartment has his name on the lease anyway. After I gathered some of my things and left, he kept texting me nonstop. He tried calling, but I didn't respond. I was very hurt because he tried to belittle my feelings and only later, when he realized that I might break up with him, started apologizing. The next day, I decided to give him another chance to explain himself, and I came back to the apartment. He seemed very sad and tired. He said that he told his mother that I overheard them. I said, I don't care. It's his time to step up and show me that he cares. I'm not interested in an apology from his mother. I'm already done with her. I can't put up with this behavior and mocking me like we're in primary school. I saw a comment saying that probably her ego is hurting. I think it's true. She never got the chance or never had the desire to have an education. She is a very good homemaker, but outside of that, she doesn't have many interests of her own. If I'm asking her about making tomato soup, she will be talking for 30 minutes, lecturing me about adding enough sugar, but not too much. She will lecture anyone who is willing to listen. But anytime someone is talking about something she's not familiar with, she gets defensive and tries to imply that nobody cares about that, and if it's not relevant to her, it shouldn't be discussed. Once again, he tried telling me that I should relax because it was only a joke, and at this point, I had enough. I took off my ring and told him that his behavior is a joke, and I can't be the punchline. I told him that I wish him and his family the best, and to look in the mirror to check if they really are as superior as they think they are. I said I'm going to be back with my friend soon to pick up the rest of my stuff, and to not contact me again unless it's about moving my things out. And that's it. I'm done. Thank you all for the advice. Without you, I wouldn't have the confidence to leave this man. I know I deserve better. I can't be with someone who can't stand up for me, and I wouldn't be able to feel comfortable around his family. So, I'm done with the relationship. Update 2. So, I got my own apartment now. I lived with my friend for a while, and she was an amazing support for me after the breakup, but now I have my own place closer to my university and work. Turns out, my ex-fiancé didn't tell his family that we broke up. I blocked them all except for my ex because we needed to keep in touch to get my stuff from the apartment we shared. His sister, a week after the breakup, texted me and asked when I would come to their parents' house because everyone wanted to apologize. I called her and said that we're no longer together and I don't really want their apology. She seemed shocked because my ex was telling them that we were fine. She just needed some time. His sister told me that the family is still fighting over this whole ordeal and that the brothers are giving my ex a hard time about the situation. I told her nicely that I don't really want any updates. I like her, but I cannot put my energy towards following their every move. She told me she understands. I don't know what happened after that with them. I'm happy. I went on a date with a cute guy I met in a cafe, but I'm taking everything slow and I don't want to rush any relationship. I'm not ready because just 3 months ago I was planning a wedding and right now I'm single and focusing on studying and work. When I graduate, I want to adopt a kitten and that's my only goal in terms of any big commitment right now. I also enrolled in CS 50 by Harvard, and I recommend you all to try and learn something new today. If you have any questions, then feel free to ask, and I will try to answer in the comments.